This is Austin Liddy Limits, where authors talk to authors about books and the craft of storytelling. Sponsored by Blue Ink Review, because typing the end is just the beginning. Find out more at blueinkreview.com. A chance encounter enables a young art student to capture a photograph of a 9-year-old girl, cigarette in hand, in a seductive pose on the lap of a trucker. When the photograph becomes famous years later, the two women are forced to confront the vast differences of their lives' paths since that day. Tell Me One Thing, a reading by Kerri Schlottman.
Hi, I'm Kerri Schlottman, and I'm reading from my novel, Tell Me One Thing. I'm going to read a passage from the beginning, so there's not a whole lot you need to know about what's happening besides that the photographer Quinn is on a road trip with her best friend Billy, and they are in rural Pennsylvania, and they've had to stop over for the night, which neither of them intended to do, but now they are stuck in a very small town for the evening. Okay, they check into the motel and toss their things inside, not yet ready to see the state of the room. Quinn leaves the 35, but takes the Polaroid. And as they walk to the diner, she shoots a couple of photos. They're gloomy things when they process. The N in the diner sign flickers and threatens to give out entirely. They take a seat at the counter next to a trucker whose eyes trail them as they sit. A web of frothy beer clings to the man's beard. He licks at it, but misses. Quinn pegs him to be in his mid-40s based on the lines around his eyes. She stares at his dulled wedding band and tries to picture his wife, but can't. He notices her, noticing him. "What's that you got there?" he asks, nodding at the Polaroid around her neck. His voice is gravelly, older sounding than she anticipated. "A Polaroid camera," she says. "I'm a photographer." "For the newspapers or something?" His attention makes Quinn uncomfortable. "No, for art. I take pictures of people." The heat creeps into her cheeks. She glances around for the waitress, hoping for a diversion to end the growing interest he seems to have in her. "You want to take my photo, honey?" He smiles, revealing rotted teeth in the back, a layer of brown film in the front. Quinn hesitates, not wanting to further engage, but there's a nag in her too, because she's always looking for a good shot. "So yeah," she says, and Billy presses near her, tenting the countertop with his arm. She holds up the camera. The waitress has finally joined them, and she watches from behind the counter with a hand on her hip. "Just be natural," Quinn tells him in the same way she's told many of her other subjects. "Do what you were doing." He shrugs and starts eating again, and she takes a photo just as he's swallowing a drink, the bottle coming away from his mouth. She sets the film on the countertop to process. The waitress takes their orders for BLTs and beers, and Quinn captures a photo of her as well. "Can I see?" the trucker asks, pointing to the nearly finished Polaroid. Quinn hands it over. His thumb makes a grease mark on the front corner. "Fuck, I'm fat," the guy says, and Billy laughs. Quinn reaches out and he hands it back. "I like it," she says, ignoring the thumbprint that will never come off now. "You look tired, but relieved, like you're almost there, but this beer and food are everything to you right now." She blushes again at the way he stares at her as she says this. "Whatever you say, honey." He flips some cash on the counter and leaves. Billy leans his shoulder against hers. "That made me laugh, though," he says, when the guy called himself a fat fucker. Quinn says, he said, "Fuck, I'm fat, but I like fat fucker better." She stares at the two Polaroids. While the trucker ruined the one of him with his thumbprint, the other of the waitress is quite good. The photo captures a twist in the woman's face, a smirk as she wipes the countertop, her yellow and brown uniform blending with the formica and the fragile outline of her torso's reflection. After they eat, Billy convinces Quinn to have another drink at the bar. The place is dim and worn, and when they walk in, all faces turn their way. A game of pool stops in the back. A skinny man with a handgun tucked into the back of his jeans chalks the top of his stick as he watches them. Quinn wants to leave, but Billy is already walking toward two empty bar stools. They order from a tired bartender with a messy tattoo of a heart on her chest. She introduces herself as Linda. Billy clinks his bottle to Quinn's and looks around, says in her ear, "This place is freaking me out." The locals have gone back to their drinks and pool game, and Quinn nods her head. "I should have brought the cannon, though." Billy says, "That guy has a gun, just hanging out, playing pool with a gun." They're quiet for a moment, just drinking. "These small towns are trouble," she says. "Not that ours was this small, but still, look at the shit we used to get into." Now that they seem to be there for a bit, Linda asks where they're from and seems impressed when Billy says New York City. She tells him about a trip she took with her cousin to see Times Square, how a man took a shit on the sidewalk right in front of them. Quinn asks if she can take her photo, and she waves by way of yes, and it's as if she understands what Quinn is hoping to do because she doesn't pose or even acknowledge the camera in any way. Quinn sets the photo on the bar and shows Linda the others. Linda shakes her head at the one of the trucker and says, "That's Curtis, look out for him." When the photo develops, Linda seems to approve as she hands it back with a nod. She pours 2 tall shots and says it's on her, and then she moves back down the bar to wait on others. Billy looks at the Polaroids. These are wicked. He holds up the one of Linda, and Quinn takes it from him, studies the angle of the shot, the tilt in Linda's head as she concentrates on pouring a drink, the way the strap of her bra has slipped down her arm. This camera is all about luck, she says.
This has been a presentation of Austin Liddy Limits, made possible with help from our good friends at Blue Ink Review, where typing "the end" is just the beginning. Find out more at blueinkreview.com.